Welcome to Bike Monologue number 3. I decided to start out after my break, or during my break, I should say. I live in a very, very beautiful place. We are not in the middle of good times in this country. And today I would like to talk about social and emotional learning, because we're going to need to do that this year. More and more of that this year. So let me finish my break and I'll see you soon. All right, break's over. Today I'd like to talk about social and emotional learning, as I said, and I think we need to do more of that during this time. I think one of the things that'll be sacrificed to support social and emotional learning curricula is the regular curricula. Unfortunately, I do think we aren't going to be able to quote unquote cover as much as we might have in previous years. But perhaps we need to think about depth over breadth, whatever, however you say it. And think about how we can practice the skills and concepts that kids need to practice within different contexts than what we're used to. We all in this country, it's getting to the point of the absurd, but we all in this country need to start honing our skills as far as conversation is concerned, and having differences of opinion, being able to debate without attacking each other. I understand the need to advocate. It's important to be able to advocate, but I feel like we've lost the art of advocating and also honoring the person that we are arguing with and respecting. We've lost our ability to respect each other. And social and emotional learning would help us restore those skills within ourselves and within our students, families, our communities. We need to learn how to have a difficult conversation. We need to learn how to discuss racism and how to teach kids about origins of racism and how we can end it. We need to help students and help ourselves find confidence in ourselves, and be able to defend ourselves without lashing out, because people are now even lashing out physically. They've been doing it for a long time, but it's just more, we're more aware of it than ever because of technology and social media. And so we need to bring these things to the forefront and talk about them. What's okay, what's not okay. we need to study Martin Luther King. We need to study the civil rights movement. We need to mourn the loss of Elijah Cummings and John Lewis, because they advocated for their people without violence. They were resilient, they were persistent, they were brave, they were tough, they were confident, they were committed. And even as their colleagues fell around them to violence, they recommitted themselves to not becoming part of that violent cycle. We need to start a campaign to rename the Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. We need to teach kids about their rights as citizens of the United States. We need to choose pieces of literature that will help students make connections with the way things were then to the way things are now. And we need to choose pieces of literature that are contemporary as well. In AP, for instance, there's always this argument about reading contemporary literature, that it's not of literary merit. What's that mean, even? What does that mean? If we're so... It's my philosophy anyway, and I'm sure that a lot of teachers would agree with me, but we study literature, I've said this hundreds of times, in order to study the human condition and to find our place in the world. That's what we do. Coming up on your left, ladies. Hey, good morning. Have a good one. Thank you. We study literature to study our human condition, the human condition, and our place within the world, our place within the human family. That's why we study literature. And what does of literary merit mean? Actually, I think maybe the College Board is questioning that anymore. So we study Charles Dickens, for example, because he spoke about social inequality. He wrote about social inequality, and he created characters to which people can still relate. Well, a contemporary piece of literature could be just as worthy and could be chock full of characters to which we can all relate, and future generations would be able to relate. And we need to choose those contemporary works. We need to focus on works, by people from cultures around the world. And we, in order to best, help the students here, we do need to pick texts that address conditions in the United States. And that's where the social emotional learning aspect comes in, because while we may have gone to British literature, Are we going to teach Shakespeare? Or are we going to teach Orwell? Or are we not going to teach those writers at all? Are we going to focus on things that were written in the United States to which students can make connections that can help them become influential citizens and help us repair what's wrong with this country. And in the blog post, I'm going to include the poem I wrote for our school's class of 2020. And there are so many aspects of that poem that are actually allusions to frontier life, because we are in a new frontier. Everything is, there's no going back to the way things were. None. And our children, my son included, they're the pioneers. Okay? They're going to figure out how to live in this new normal and guide us. I honestly believe that this generation is pretty amazing. But we teachers can do more to support that development. Community leaders can do more to support that development. There's it's part pedagogy and part therapy, really, called Restorative Practices. And there's the notion of the restorative circle. And it can be used for a lesson, history, literature class, whatever. But it can also be used, to help community members reconcile with one another and hear each other. I think that's a big problem. Have a good day. Hi. Just let me pass these ladies up here. Coming up on your left. Good morning.
Good morning.
We can use those, for example, maybe have everyone adopt a character from a novel about social justice, or a short story. How about truly investigate those characters, and use the standards to guide the investigation. What are the textual details? How does that person talk? How would you anticipate them talking about something that hasn't already been addressed in the novel? What are their tics? What are their triggers? How do you know? All about how. When you're studying literature, it's really all about how. How do you know? Where's the evidence? And I feel like you could then have a restorative circle, and everyone assumes a character, almost like first-person interpretation, right? For you history buffs out there, you do reenactments and stuff. It's kind of like preparing them for, first-person interpretation, and you can go through a conundrum, an issue, maybe from the novel or the story or the movie, whatever, and have them play their part. Hi. And have them play their part, stay in context, but learn how to have those conversations, those difficult conversations. I'm gonna open somebody. On your left. Morning. Sort of like a Socratic seminar on steroids. Yeah. Yeah, it could get emotional, it could get heated, it could get difficult. But why not? Why not do something like that? Would it take time away from the other things? Why should it? Is it that we need to cover material, or we need to look at mastery of standards? And what standards are most important? Do we really need all those power standards, guys? Do we? What do our kids need right now to get on in the world? What do they need? We need to stick with where they are and help them get where they need to go. And right now, in my opinion, they need to get to a much more peaceful place. I don't want any of my students to end up getting caught in this whirlwind, this chaotic whirlwind that's taking hold and taking root in the United States. If it hasn't taken root already, right? We need to do better in this regard. Teaching and learning are not going to be the same this year. They shouldn't be, and they can't be. I don't want to end on a sour note, but I think I've spoken myself out. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.